Mr. Bility insists that accountability is an essential and necessary ingredient for democratic growth, warning that ignoring it could lead to tyranny and violence. He urges Liberians to believe in themselves more and ask their lawmakers to stand up for accountability. The call by Mr. Bility, also director of the Global Justice and Research Project, comes weeks after House Speaker Buford Chimos refused to allow a resolution adopted by 51 of his colleagues for the court to be discussed during the closing days of the body's extra sitting. Chimos' action provoked displeasure from Representative Rostodin Dennis, who has been convincing her colleagues to sign the resolution.
She's going nowhere. You were jumping up on a walking code. You were jumping up on a walking code. You were paying the price. You were paying the price.
Chimos originally called for the court during one of his first press conferences in his current capacity in July 2018 and took him at former Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf for telling the TRC that she gave $10,000 United States dollars to the former MPFA rebel group for humanitarian purposes.
If war is being fought by combatants, and you even see people using inner organs for roadblocks, and then you say that you give people money for humanitarian services, then it beats my imagination. So that means the criteria, or those criteria set, were not satisfied by those who went for that benefit of restoration. So, for instance, we still want the truth to be told by Madam President, Madam Sirleaf.
Anger is growing across Liberia and beyond over Chimos' insistence for his colleagues to seek the approval of their constituents during their ongoing annual break before discussing the matter in January 2020. A U.S. congressional delegation made a 2-day visit to Liberia from October 8 to 9, 2019, meeting with government and members of the civil society. It's unclear if war crimes court was part of their closed-door discussions. In mid-September, we asked the legislature to advise and give him guidance on setting up war and economic crimes courts for Liberia. He later addressed the 74th session of the UN General Assembly, making statements that were viewed by many as an implied support for the courts, and asked for the UN's support moving forward.
It is my hope that at the end of this consultative process, a national consensus will evolve that will determine the pathway to resolving this issue. I therefore ask for your unflinching support as we embark upon these important national endeavors.
But upon his return to Liberia, he made a contradictory statement.
Liberians are calling for a war control. Both the victims and the perpetrator are calling for a war control. What I did is to explain to them, why now? So if you don't understand my English, then you need to go back to the speech and then you read it well. You calling for war control, I say why this.
Despite the inconsistent messages, Bility says he believes the court will be established. Setting up the court will mean that the resolution signed by Representative Dennis and her colleagues must be approved by a 2/3 majority of the Liberian Senate and then signed by President Weah before it becomes law. If the president receives the resolution but does not return it within 20 days, it automatically becomes law, unless the legislature by adjournment prevents its return, according to the 1986 Liberian Constitution. Although Weah can constitutionally veto the document with objections, the legislature still does have the power to override his veto. Representative Dennis, also chair of the House Committee on Claims and Petitions, says they are opting for a bill as opposed to a resolution.
The resolution is only a strong statement that they're expressing the interests of legislators for the code. The bill tells you exactly what the code is going to be like, what are the measures will be taken against those who are indicted, and that will be interpreted by the tribunal.
Hybrid courts are special courts, usually sitting or operating in countries where grave human rights abuses have been committed, like Liberia. Such courts, usually costing millions of dollars, also allow local and international lawyers to practice under the jurisdictions of host countries, with the UN-backed Special Court for Sierra Leone and the Special Tribunal for Cambodia being classic examples. Staff in those courts did different kinds of jobs covering translation, witness and victims protection, transportation, facilities management, and mailing and filing judicial documents within the court records unit.
We're talking about very complex cases that have to deal with lots of evidence. So if the court is purely domestic, then there is no incentive for international donors to contribute to that court. If the court has an internationalized element, then there might be some leeway to ask for international donors for their assistance with regard to that.
The international community spent over $300 million on the Special Court for Sierra Leone, according to the independent global think tank ODR. When the Sierra Leone Court was operational, it boosted the economy of the West African nation, as more than 400 staff, local and international, were employed, according to the website of the court. That meant more money was available to spend, thus boosting local businesses. Former Liberian Finance Minister David Fahad says a war crimes court will provide a temporary economic relief for Liberia.
They are just coming specifically to do a thing, and there may be certain type of people needed to carry on that job, and they're not going to bring those people here. Most of them will come from Liberia. The drivers, the typists, the secretaries, all those things will come from Liberia.
And what would that do for the economy?
But just it will be a part-time employment.
With most Liberian representatives signing a resolution for a war crimes court, campaigners are hopeful all the political, technical and constitutional issues about the court can be addressed thoroughly before it is set up. This report was produced in collaboration with New Narratives as part of the West Africa Justice Reporting Project. I'm Anthony Stevens reporting.